I will leave a link, but here is a quote from the Watchtower. Quote, "The inspired description of wisdom found in the book of Proverbs reads, Jehovah himself produced me as the beginning of his way, the earliest of his achievements of long ago. Before the mountains themselves had been settled down, ahead of the hills I was brought forth as with labor pains. When he prepared the heavens, I was there. Then I came to be beside him as a master worker, and came to be one he was specially found of day by day." Jehovah God has always existed and has always been wise. His wisdom has no beginning. It was neither created nor produced. It was not brought forth as with labor pains. Furthermore, this wisdom is said to speak, act, and representing a person. Proverbs 8:1. Referring to Jesus, see 1 Corinthians chapter 1, verses 24 and 30, that Jesus is the wisdom of God. What is wrong with their view? Well, look at the background of Proverbs chapter 1 through 9, and we see that wisdom is actually called a woman, and thus it's a personification, which means it's an attribute of God. Wisdom in this case is likened to a person. And over, wisdom is called either she or her. We use it all the time. For example, opportunity was knocking at the door. So if we would use it, why not Solomon? Because this is considered a book of poetry. Some examples of wisdom being personified as a woman can be found in chapter 1, verses 20 and 21. Wisdom crieth without, she uttereth her voice. She crieth, she uttereth her words. And in chapter 8, doeth not wisdom cry? And understanding put forth her voice. She standeth in the top of the high places. She crieth at the gates. The New World Translation will replace the she or her with the words it or its. So why is this so important? Well, if wisdom spoken of in Proverbs chapter 8 is Jesus, then Jesus is a she. However, there's one verse that the New World Translation calls wisdom a woman. Chapter 7, verse 4, say to wisdom, you are my sister. So here's the first question. So if a Jehovah's Witness truly believes that Proverbs 8 speaks of Jesus, then how many Jehovah's Witnesses have ever declared door to door that Jesus is their sister? Now, the Watchtower, as I have stated, Jehovah has always had wisdom, and Jehovah created wisdom by creating Jesus. But why did Jehovah need to create something if he already possessed it? What is missing in the discussion is what the Apostle Paul meant by Jesus, the wisdom of God. 1 Corinthians chapter 1 and verse 18, we find that the wisdom of God is not the creation action spoken of in Proverbs chapter 8, but that Jesus was the trap to set to defeat the devil, and he fell for it. In verse 21, for after that is the wisdom of God. The world by wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save some. Verse 24, but unto them which are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ the power of God and the wisdom of God. Chapter 2, verses 7 and 8. But we speak the wisdom of God in the mystery, even the hidden wisdom, which God ordained before the world unto our glory, for which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would never have crucified the Lord of glory. See, the book of Proverbs is not hidden wisdom. It's right there for all to see, including the devil. However, Jesus being crucified was the trap that God set, and thus the wisdom of God to defeat the devil and to offer man a chance for eternal life. Here is my question. If the Apostle Paul declares Jesus is the wisdom of God in the context of crucifixion, then how can the crucifixion and the story of creation be the same thing? The context of what the Apostle Paul was stating has nothing to do with Proverbs chapter 8. Proverbs chapter 8 speaks of creation, and the best cross-reference is Genesis chapter 1. If Jehovah created Jesus and Jesus created everything else, then shouldn't Genesis 1:1 read, in the beginning the most exalted being created the heaven and the earth? Final thought. Jehovah's Witnesses claim that Jehovah created Jesus and then Jesus created everything else. So if Jehovah only created Jesus and Jesus created everything else, then are we created in the image of God or in the image of a created being.